Hello, my name's Ray. I'm sitting in front of the window and the sun's coming in quite bright, so I feel like I'm squinting a bit, so my apologies. This video is a bit of a catch-up video of what's been happening in the last couple of weeks in my life. So if you're new here, it might not be of any interest to you. It might not be of any interest to you if you're a regular viewer, because I am going to be talking about why I missed my 60th birthday celebrations, and a bit of a trigger warning. It was because I'd had an operation. So I'm going to talk about that and just give you a bit of a catch up. So totally understand if this video is not for you, and I hopefully see you in the next one. But if you do stick around and watch, I'm very grateful. So I was 60 on the 29th of September, and we had some lovely plans. We were going to go down to London and stay at the Waldorf Astoria, so a fancy hotel in London, and I was really looking forward to it. But as it turned out, although I was home, I wasn't in hospital. I was just too ill to go, so we had to cancel it. We lost our money, but never mind, I can always go again another time, and health comes first, doesn't it? So let me backtrack a bit. I found a lump on my neck, a small lump, a couple of years ago, and it was at a time where I just left work because I'd been ill, burnt out, post-viral infection. I was just absolutely worn out. And I had all sorts of things going on. So I had symptoms of flu. I don't want to say the words, but that big thing that we all had a few years ago. I had it, but quite mildly. But it took me a long time to recover from it. And that led me to decide that I wanted to give up work, partly from the reaction that I got from work at being ill. I've been in that job for 5 years, and was in a senior position and hadn't had a day off sick in all of that time. And when I was ill, I was like quite surprised, and I didn't expect the reaction I got to having time off because I was ill. I'm going to brush that aside. Anyway, at that time, all sorts of things were going on. I had aches and pains. I was struggling to recover from the virus. I was just very low mood. I was just worn out. And then I had this decision to make, like, do I really want to be working in this environment where we'd spent a lot on, putting systems in place to support people. And then actually when I was ill, it all seemed as if those systems were just for show. Am I resentful? I think I am a little bit. Intellectually, I understand, but I am a little bit resentful. Anyway, I digress. At the time, I had a small sort of lump on my neck, sort of around here, and I literally put it down to, I had so much going on. My glands were up, I was having fevers, all sorts. I just thought it was part of that and didn't go to the doctors because I thought, oh, it'd just go back down again in a while. Anyway, when I did retire and had a bit more time on my hands, and was feeling, hugely better, I went to the doctors and said, oh, I've got this lump on my neck. So this was 2 years ago. And of course, they put you straight on the cancer path, don't they? But they were saying to me, oh, don't worry, it's probably not that. And I didn't for one, I'm a glass half full. I didn't for 1 minute think it was that. I just thought, oh, I should really tell the doctor I've got this lump that's sort of been hanging around for quite a while. So I sort of was seen within a 2-week period, and they thought, well, no, my bloods were good. I was healthy. I hadn't been losing a lot of weight, all was good. So they then sent me to ear, nose and throat. So I saw another specialist probably about 6 months later. And by then, the lump had hugely reduced. I could still just about feel it, but it was way smaller. And they did all sorts of tests. They gave me a scan. The lump was still there. It was about a pea size. And to me, it seems as if it was higher up, or anyway. The doctor told me that they would operate on it. And I said to him, well, I like, what for? It's probably nothing sinister, and it's hugely gone down, and it's not causing me any trouble. And he said, well, the operation wouldn't probably be for about 18 months, 2 years, maybe even longer, so I would have all that time to decide. So I kind of just forgot about it, really. And I did just think that, like, it's probably nothing. It's probably just, something from being ill from before that hasn't just righted itself. Then at the beginning of the year, I was sent for pre-op and was told that my operation might be sometime in the next year. And then on the 18th of September, I was out and about. No, no, I wasn't. The operation was on the 18th. A week before, I was out and about. I volunteer at a national park, and we were out in the woods, and my phone went, and I was talking to someone, and I said to them, I never answer my phone when it's a number that I don't know. And looked at the phone, didn't recognise the number, and it said Shrewsbury, and I thought, oh, the hospital's in Shrewsbury, and I answered it. Thank God I did. And it was a young man on the phone telling me, oh, your operation's going to be next week. And I was so shocked because I didn't think it was going to be any time around then. I kind of thought, oh, it'll be next year. I was a little bit worried it'd be when I'm going on my cruise, which is end of November, beginning of December. So I was trying to figure, oh, well, okay, this is a good thing. But he was saying to me, bearing in mind, I'm in the woods, lots of people around me. Oh, come in. This was a Wednesday. Come in on Friday to one hospital, and you're going to have your bloods done and everything there. And then you'll be having your operation next Wednesday, and a different hospital. And make sure you don't eat and nil by mouth at a certain time. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on a minute. I'm literally, I can't write anything down. I'm nowhere. I'm a bit shell shocked, a bit overwhelmed. Just can you give me a letter for next week? And, yes, I'll come in on the Friday. Where do I need to go? Da di da di da. So the point I'm making was that it was all really quick. I didn't have much time to think about it. I hadn't put much thought into it. In my mind, they were just going to open me up a little bit there, cut the lump out, bob's your uncle, I'd be home the next day. I mean, normally, like, I always research things a lot, and I'll be looking at Google, but I generally haven't given a lot. It wasn't a big deal. I genuinely didn't think that it was such a big deal and an issue. It was almost like I felt that I'd got a little spot and it was going to be removed. Anyway, I went into hospital on the 18th, and I thought, obviously we've got the birthday celebrations booked, this trip to London, the first of the celebrations, and I kind of thought, oh well, I'll be absolutely fine by then. I'd also got some other things. My friend Linda, if she's watching, she's going to take me for a nice afternoon tea, and I just thought, oh well, I've got plenty of time, I'll be fine for them. But no, I woke up the next day and I'd got like a bag. I won't go too much detail. So I'd got a drain with a bag of not fluid, shall we say. And they told me that, and I was in a private room, which was lovely, or a room on my own, a side room. And I think that's because they needed to monitor me quite regularly. I was sort of right by the reception desk, and they did. They came and took my obs every hour or so, which is normal. There wasn't, anything special. The operation had gone well. And I was kind of just shocked a bit to the extent of what they did. So, and I'm still waiting the result. It's nearly 3 weeks now. This is the first time I've videoed in a while. The videos that you've seen, I'd sort of had some ready and sort of cobbled some together really. So I just wanted it to be as normal as possible. And it kind of worked out okay. And I am feeling hugely, hugely better. I don't want any of you to worry about me. I am hugely better and well. But I did have a very rough couple of days. There was extra fluid, i.e. blood and gunk, coming out. So they kept me in, I think, 3 days. So, and everything was going well. I was feeling better. And then I came home and I was really pleased about that. And I was doing well for a couple of days. And then I had it just, my neck went, I'll show you a little bit. I won't show you too much. I don't want to see. So they sort of cut from behind my ear in the front, and I guess they sort of opened it up there. And this redder bit was where the drain was. So where the drain was, even when I came home without the drain, it was still sort of dripping stuff, and it became very red and inflamed. So I phoned the hospital and they asked me to go back straight away, and the ENT doctor would meet me at A&E, and by then it was quite late, 11 o'clock. So we drove to A&E, which is quite a long drive, about an hour's away. I was feeling okay though. I was just a little bit worried about this. I thought they would give me some antibiotics and send me back home. And oh my gosh, A&E, it was just chaos. And I felt a little bit bad because I was fast tracked because the doctor was meeting me there. So we sat in A&E a bit and then saw the nurses, and they were meant to put the cannula in, but they didn't. It was just chaos there. And there was a big sign saying, 6 hours to see the doctor. It was, and people were like in pain. They looked like some young girl looked like she'd done something to her neck. She would barely walk, and so much pain. And sitting next to us was a young man who had been in a rugby match and his shoulder had come out of the socket. And again, he was in so much pain, and he'd been there in his rugby clothes. He got a sling on. I think they'd given him some painkillers which wearing off. He'd literally been there 6 hours already with no sign of seeing anyone. It was just really weird. It was just horrible. It suddenly felt like there's actually no emergency care. And the nurses and the doctors were just so doing their best. Anyway, the doctor came down from ENT and sort of whisked me away and put me on a drip. So got me on antibiotics, intravenous antibiotics straight away, which surprised me. I'm just so blasé, thinking, oh yeah, everything's fine. And then they found a bed for me, which I wasn't expecting. I hadn't got any stuff with me. And then from then on, they kept me in a couple of days, and I'm telling you, it was really rough, really rough. I thought it was because I was nil by mouth. So they got me it was about 2 o'clock by the time that they took me onto the ward. And they were deciding whether to operate again, whether there might be a blood clot or an infection, and that they might have to go in and clear it out. And I really didn't want that because I kind of lost energy and was worn out. But you have to put your faith in the doctors, don't you? But the problem that exasperated how I felt was, so I went there about 2 o'clock. He said nil by mouth until the doctors come for their rounds in the morning, which they came about 8:30. Great, about 12 doctors. Oh my God, I'm so glad to see them. I can't tell you the love and respect I have for those doctors and nurses and all the staff there. They are so fantastic. They all came round in the morning and they said, oh, well, we'll do an ultrasound and we'll come back and tell you what time, or the nurse will come back and tell you what time your appointment is. And she did a couple of hours later, and it was 4 o'clock. So my nil by mouth was then extended. I was I thought I was going to die of dehydration. My head was throbbing. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. Now, my son says he's had some nursing training. He said it was probably the infection that made you go downhill. I felt at the time it was dehydration, but I don't know. So I was still on the antibiotics in the hospital. I was wearing, I'm going to show you what I was wearing. I know this is frivolous, but it did help. I'd gone into the hospital. I was wearing these sort of this brown Marks and Spencer's please say lounge suit, and I didn't think I was going to stay in. I literally just thought I would go in, they'd look at it and give me some oral antibiotics. I didn't know that I would be given a bed. So I was wearing this is what I was wearing at home when I went in, and trousers with underwear on. And when they gave me the bed, I just took my underwear off and slept in this, as comfy as anything. It was really good. So, and those sort of things matters, don't you? If you're feeling ill, you don't want to be uncomfortable. And so I was walking, like shuffling to the toilet one night, like, oh, I can't move my head, and oh, I hadn't eaten drug for ages, and oh, my neck's out here, and I've got all this stuff. Um, One of the nurses said to me, "Oh, what are you wearing? That's really nice. You look like someone from a TikTok star." And I wanted to say, actually, I've got a little YouTube channel. But I didn't, because I wasn't well enough to speak. I was just like, ah. But I logged that and thought, okay, I'm at my worst. And my little brown, please say Marks and Spencer set is doing me proud. Anyway. So it was the nil by mouth. This is where it kind of went. So I had nil by mouth. They did the ultrasound. By then I'd got this, where the tube had been, the drainage tube, it was like a big fat red sausage on here, really like blistery, and when they did the ultrasound, it didn't hurt. I thought it was going to, but it popped, and literally I was covered with whatever had been collected in there. Infection or whatever. But it was such a relief, because they were better out than in. And they then decided that they would see how I was the following morning, before deciding whether they would operate. So, it sort of naturally cleansed it out a bit. So they thought, oh, you might be okay. But then, of course, my nil by mouth was extended. And I was in a real state. I couldn't talk, I could barely move. And luckily, one of the nurses said to the doc, and they were worried, and I think that they were worried that that was the infection, and it might have been, but it just felt like I haven't anything to drink. I'm going to die of thirst. And one of the nurses, and it kept being extended by different people, so it was almost like, I'm sure they knew. Did they knew? One doctor extended, then another doctor extended it. So there wasn't really any consistency there. It was one of the nurses that stepped in and said, she whispered, normally I would just say, well, I haven't eaten or drank anything. Is that okay? But I couldn't speak. I was just in such a state. I was just so low. Not low. I was just so ill. And the one of the nurses said to the doctor, she'd been nil by mouth since like yesterday morning. He said, well, she can have a few sips of water now. But then no more after that. So that was the worst thing. Anyway, the next day I felt a whole lot better. It's sort of gone down a bit, and they were happy that I didn't need to have another operation, and they sort of monitored me that day, and they sent me home. And what a relief it was to get home. The worst thing about it, and again, this is frivolous, I was ill, feeling really ill, but I was hopeful that, the recovery is meant to be good. There are a few side effects, like my ear's numb now, and I've got something called Frey's syndrome. So I've got no feeling at all. It's completely numb in the bottom of my ear, and I've got this thing called Frey's syndrome, which is quite normal afterwards. I don't think it's curable, but it means that there's a bit of excess moisture that comes down when I'm eating. Lovely that, isn't it? But I can cope with that. As I say, I'm still waiting for the results. It's been nearly 3 weeks now. That's really, really hard to be waiting for the results all that time. I'm pretty sure it's nothing. It's not anything sinister, but obviously I'd like to know. Obviously missed my birthday, and at the time I didn't care. I just wanted to get better. I've just been sleeping literally for the last couple of weeks. I am loads better now. It's nearly 3 weeks afterwards, and we went out for a ride yesterday. We went out for a ride to the seaside. I start off in the mornings really good, so I've been videoing this morning, and then I kind of crash and burn and run out of energy. So I am taking it slow, and also I feel I'm like in limbo until I can find out what it was or no. I just want that doctor to tell me, like, oh, it was nothing. It's all okay. This is all healing nicely. It has been a big change though, and the whole operation was a lot bigger than I realised it was going to be, and has had much more of an impact than I thought. Because I'm one of those people, like, I'll go in and they'll say, well, what's wrong with you? Do you smoke? Do you drink? No, nothing, 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 nothing. You taking any medication? No, nothing. And then so I felt like, oh, I'm one of those really lucky, healthy ones. And then suddenly, no, now you've got something that might be an issue. It's such a change, isn't it? Comes totally out of the blue. And touch wood. So thank you for listening if you're still here. Um, Julie is, from what Julie loves, has been posting about fasting. And I know last year I did quite a lot of fasting and got on with it really, really well. So because I'm in a healing stage, the next few weeks it's going to be all about healing for me. So I thought that I would give it a go, and we're going to do a video together, three of a kind. So myself, Kim and Julie are going to do a video. We're starting now today actually. We're going to do a video for next month to share with you how we got on, and whether, for me, it's all about healing. I want to give my body the best chance it can of healing. We'll just let you know. So if you've listened to the end, thank you very much, and hopefully see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.